Yes. Okay.
How this day doing? I'm sorry about your friend Robert Murphy passing away.
Yeah, Robert Murphy, Uncle Robert, he passed away last week, I just want to present my sympathy, for his loved one, his family, all his family, I think it was very sad. So he passed away, and he was a passionate man, He loved boxing, he loved boxing a lot. So God bless him, So Robert Murphy, and everybody who knows Robert Murphy, and knows personally Robert Murphy, I present you also my sympathy. So that's it, Michael. That's life. It's very sad for the community, boxing community to lose this guy, He was from Boston, very nice gentleman, a friend of mine, So we lost this gentleman last week, Michael.
Yeah. My condolences to yourself and to his loved
Yes, it was an heart attack, heart attack, and it was done, so he passed away very quickly, so that's it. So today we will talk about, the fight as we told before, Chris Eubank Jr. and Mr. Conor Benn. What do you think about this fight, Michael? And I think, we've lost this podcast before. We're gonna redo it, but I think I don't know if it will be a nice fight. We know Chris Eubank is a nice gentleman. I know Conor Benn is a nice gentleman also, two very good gentlemen. But, this fight, rehydration fight, I think it's dangerous for Chris Eubank Jr., this fight. And he's got a lot of experience, Chris Eubank Jr., 35 wins, 3 defeats, the defeats, by the way, it was against Liam Smith, George Grove, and Billy Joe Sanders,
well, that's an excellent, that's an excellent resume. There's no disgrace in losing to those guys, the top class performers.
Absolutely, Michael. And Conor Benn, not a lot of experience, but a little Mike Tyson, He's very aggressive in the ring, and he's got 33 wins, only 1 defeat against Chris Eubank Jr. The last fight, he fought. So I think it would be maybe a nice fight, but we don't want, one of two of those gentlemen hurt, in this fight. I think we have to take care about the rehydration clause, in the fight. You don't like it, Michael? I don't like it also,
No,
but...
no, I don't like it. I don't think it's fair. What I'd like to say is, without going too much into that, though I will address it in the nicest possible way, is that, if Eddie Hearn if Benn was a super middleweight, naturally, and Eubank Jr. was coming out, I would like to say, I wonder if Eddie Hearn would be quick to put this weight issue into place. Possibly not. But, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. And it's happening again. And the old saying is 2 wrongs don't make a right. So, no, I'm not a fan of it. Boxing is enough of a dangerous sport without this also, boxing is like a classic example would be Donnie Lalonde in 1988 when he boxed Sugar Ray Leonard. And as you're aware, I'm sure you are, that Donnie Lalonde at the time was the world light heavyweight champion. And, he was a good-looking guy, marketable. And this is pretty much why I believe Leonard chose Donnie as an opponent, and he got them to make Donny Lalonde come down from light heavyweight to box at super middleweight. And in doing so, kept Donny's WBC light heavyweight crown also on the line.
Okay.
By rights, it shouldn't have been on the line.
Yes.
I don't really recognise Sugar Ray Leonard, Ray Charles Leonard, as a world light heavyweight champion himself. I never have done, because it gave a great performance, Jamie. But getting back to that 1985 fight with Donny Lalonde, Jamie had a great performance. Donny, unbeknownst to many, he broke both of his hands in that fight about the middle rounds.
Yeah.
So he boxed the 5-6 rounds with 2 broken hands.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad, this situation. Yeah.
But this is the kind of mindset and the art that the genuine world champion must possess, and that's what Donny Lalonde's got.
We've seen another fight, Michael. I think Ryan Garcia against David Haney. I think 1 or 2 years ago. I think it's 1 year ago. And it was sad. I don't like this kind of fight. Rehydration clause. In a fight. And as I told before, Oscar De La Hoya, he said, I don't want a second fight against Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, because I don't want there's 2 boxers gonna destroy their career. So everybody knows that it's dangerous in a rehydration fight. A rehydration clause. So I don't know, but maybe I would like to see this fight, but I hope we will see a very good referee, in this fight. I think it will be a very important aspect, in this fight. And the ring, the size of the ring also, large ring will be better for Chris Eubank Jr. I hope for him. So, what do you think about it, Michael?
Well, yeah, the smaller ring suits the slugger in the fight, and Benny's just that. He's an all action, uncompromising type of fighter, just like his dad was before him. He's a big puncher, and but the thing is, I like to say, with Eddie and getting this regurgitation clause put in, this weight clause put in yet again, is, as I say, 2 wrongs don't make a right, and there's nothing right about this whatsoever. Just getting back to that Lalonde-Leonard fight, Lalonde, as I said, he hadn't boxed at super middleweight since the Jamie Howe fight, mid-1985. And then after that fight, he went up to light heavyweight. For what reason, I don't know. I think he just outgrew super middle and went up to light heavy. And he was knocking him out at light heavyweight. He eventually won the world title, big puncher for light heavy. But the thing is, him going up in weight, he kept his power and his physical strength. But in coming down in weight, any fight coming down in weight, more so world level, that is making them weaker as opposed to stronger. A guy like Benn coming up in weight or fighting a slightly larger guy, that's very true, then, that's really sad. But again, I don't know for definite, but it's a rumour where Eubank Jr. has stated he has got a video of credit to Benn. If Eddie Hearn is so confident of his man going into this fight, then he should be let really, ideally, Junior come in at his natural weight as a fully fledged super middleweight. Then Benn can come in at whatever weight he wants to get to. Obviously, if he gets to 160, fine. Even if he comes a bit over 60. But the thing was, the fine that Eubank was given because of not being able to make the weight last time for the first fight, I believe it was over by a pound. Sometimes, things get the better of him. He's like his dad. I think he's a bit more talking than his dad, because his dad was more quiet.
I like Barry too, Michael. It's a gentleman, Barry,
yeah, Barry. Well, that's the thing. Barry Hearn.
Well, I like Eddie Hearn too, I like Eddie, but I like his father. I think he's, I don't know, a conservative. He's a great man.
Barry Hearn was the son of a bus driver from Dagenham, and Barry Hearn knows his roots. He knows where he's from, and that's great. But the thing with Barry Earn is, and it's amazing how boxing can kind of, it's sort of evolved into now an Eubank stalemate, because Eddie Earn's father, as many will know, was Barry Earn. Barry Earn promoted every single fight of Chris Eubank Senior's. So Eubank Senior and Earn were together. They were like,
oh yes, okay.
You know, they were all in the super middles. And that was like 30 years ago.
Interesting.
But now it's taken a turn for the worse. It's come back round. History repeating itself, if you like. And you've got Eddie, Barry's son, Eddie, and Chris Eubank Senior's son, Chris Eubanks Jr. And they don't like each other, so they can't be like the fathers and have that relationship. So it's one of those. But again, no, I'm not a fan of what Eddie has done. I mean, I think it's wrong. But you know, this is very worrying, because I was very worried, you know, not just as a boxing fan, as a human being, for Chris Eubank Jr.'s health after this the last fight. Again, it's happening again, and it shouldn't be happening. As I say, if Earn feels so confident, then he should be letting Chris Eubank, you know, cut him some slack and let him come to 168 his natural weight. But it seems that that's not going to happen. I just hope and pray that Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, they both come out of it okay. You know, and because it's very worrying for boxing. Really, nobody wants to see anybody get over. And it's just it's a worrying night indeed. You know, let's hope it's a great fight, and let's hope they both come out of it. You know, who are you picking for the winner?
I think I think Chris Eubank should win this fight. You know. But we don't know. We'll never know, you know. And he's a little bit weaker, you know, because the rehydration clause. Pardon me. So you know, everything can happen, you know, in this fight, Michael.
Yeah, you know, if it goes in Benn's favour, there'll be a third fight. That's a definite. It'll be called a bub, what they call a bub. But I just get a funny feeling that there won't be no intermission clause. Just got a funny idea it won't happen. But it's just, I think you say about Ryan Garcia some back.
Well, Ryan Garcia against David Haney, you know, we've seen a rehydration fight, you know, in this fight also, and Garcia lost, you know, the weight in, but it was difficult for him, you know. He lost the weight in, you know, and he was, you know, he had, I think, une amende. Il a eu une amende en français. Il a eu une amende. You know, he paid, you know, I think an amount, you know, about this, but that's like, but you know, Michael, a lot of things I think is bizarre, you know, at this moment, you know, a certain fight, you know, with Tank Davis, you know, and Jake Paul. And Jake Paul, you know, Jake Paul, he's got, I think, 200 pounds, you know, and Tank Davis, 140 pounds.
Again, you know, it's sort of like, but you know, the thing is, it puts boxing in a bad light. You know, the Eubank, Benn, the hydration clause. Now there's Jake Paul
and the fight won't happen, Michael. The fight won't happen because Tank Davis, it will not happen for him to make this fight happen, you know. So now I think Jake Paul looking someone else, you know, and I think he's got a lot of problem to have somebody to fight with him. I think he called out, you know, MMA fight, Ngannou. And Ngannou said, no, I don't want to fight you, you know.
He doesn't need to fight him. I actually think Ngannou would probably beat him anyway. But he's a good boxer in his own right, Jake Paul. But the thing is, there is a gentleman who who wants to fight Jake Paul and take Tank Davis's place. And that gentleman's Carl Froch. He said,
Carl Froch want to fight Jake Paul, yes.
I will jump in and I'm ready. He said, I will end his career in 1 round. It'll be over in a round, maybe 2 rounds, and he's going to knock Jake Paul spark out. And he will do. I've met Carl Froch and you shake hands with him, and it's like...
No, man, I have something to say, to Jake Paul. Stop searching someone, go for Carl Froch. I think it would be a very nice fight with Carl Froch,
Carl Froch, to be 80 years of age, as long as Carl Froch has got a pair of boxing gloves on, he's always a live opponent. And Jake Paul is, he speaks about world titles. He's really what we would have said back.
But he's not bad at all, He's a good fighter. He's not bad at all. He won a fight against Mr. Chavez. He won a fight.
Yes. He's okay, Paul, but he's what we had. We had like guys like who went from American gridiron football, Mark Gastineau. We had a guy who boxed Michael Spinks in an exhibition. This was like a charity fight way back in 1987. He was, and to me, these guys are like celebrity boxers. This is all this guy is a celebrity boxer.
Absolutely.
That's all he is. He's just a guy who's going to, talks great. He's he's a typical American rich kid from my liking, and I don't know really too much about him. I don't really like the way he's seems to, win a few fights against chosen opposition. Then he's gone on to name opponents. He lost to Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury's just basically a club fighter, really at best. He's not a guy who's going to become. You're going to see him fighting for the British title. This Tyson.
I love his father. I love Peter Fury a lot.
Peter, he's a nice guy. But now then he gets this WBC ranking, and they shouldn't be even entertaining Jake Paul. They're going to try and get him a world title fight. If he fights for a world title, he will not win a world title. He's not good enough. He's a professional fighter. At best, very best, he's a club fighter. That is all he is. In the 80s, you would never have heard of Jake Paul because we had no social media. He would have been in that 1,000 results somewhere tucked away.
I agree.
In Ring Magazine, 1,000 results every issue, always used to say. He would be in one of them. Hidden away somewhere in the club fighter. That's all he would be. That's all he would be, Richard. He would be no better, no less, no better than a club fighter. But obviously, social media, he's got his gathering of fans, and that's what propels him into the public spotlight because of social media. And it's a curse, really, because we know, proper boxing fans, that he's not up to much, not at world level. Yeah, everybody says, oh, he's marketable, he makes money. Yeah, okay, he makes money, but money it isn't everything, I spoke once to when we had Lloyd Huntington from this country, who was an undisputed welterweight champion, he beat Donald Curry. And he was saying to me, he said, he didn't have a lot of money, he lost a lot of money, and someone nicked one of his belts, WBC belts, because he had 2 of them, and also nicked his WBA championship, I believe. And I said to him, Lloyd, because I sort of know him, I said, they can take your belts, they can take your money, but they can't take your name on the record book. And that counts for more than just money. Money is everywhere, everywhere. And it's pretty much the ruination. I have an old saying, Richard, money and misery are the same thing. They're just spelt differently. And that's the saying of mine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I believe that it's about money to a certain extent, but, I'd rather be a world champion than a multi-millionaire. Conor the public, because that's what I think he's doing. He's just fooling the public, but he has his little band of minions who aren't boxing people. They don't. Any boxing fan worth his salt, he's not a Jake Paul boxing fan. He can't be. He is just easily dismissed as a club fighter. Nothing less.
But
and that's no disrespect to no club fighter.
Do we see Tyson Fury very soon? We don't know. Against I don't know. Against Usyk, you told me at the springtime, I think, eh? April.
But you know, since we last spoke last week, we had there has been developments, and rightfully so. Fabio Wardley versus what's his name? Alexander Usyk. How dare me forget his name? Alexander Usyk, Fabio Wardley. That is almost a done deal now. That looks like that's going towards Ipswich Town Football Club.
Okay.
You know, I think it's too big for that ground. I mean, it's 30,000. That's more to me than 100,000 fight. But because of Wardley not being quite, I think, a name like, it's not a name as big as Tyson Fury. That means, you know, the promoters or whoever, they feel that, you know, Wardley Usyk isn't as big a sell as Fury Usyk. Fair enough.
I think Wardley now is a king, you know, in Britain,
I mean,
you know.
I mean, you know, Ipswich is 20 miles down that way. I'd rather be going to Ipswich to watch him fight Usyk than I would all the way to Wembley. Though I love Wembley. I'm just gone for Usyk's last fight, but it was amazing. But this fight in Ipswich, it's I think it's a bigger fight than the Ipswich Stadium because 30,000 fans to me, that seems a little bit. It doesn't seem fair enough to put it in front of just 30 fans. It's the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. He's earned the right. He is, in essence, the number one.
It was impressive, Wardley, against Parker. He's now the king, this gentleman, and I think with a fight against Usyk, it will be a super fight, Michael. A super fight, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't see this is the man in the street mentality yet again. Wardley, he was getting beat by Justice last June. He was getting beat by Joseph Parker. What a bad stoppage! And they're not understanding that this guy is a terrific puncher, and you know,
as you told before, he's a warrior, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. But this fight versus Parker, as I said before to you, Richard, in the previous episode, the display, his performance against Parker, propelled him into genuine world class.
Absolutely, absolutely.
World level, because
it's a big fight for him, eh?
A lot of people were saying before the Parker fight, and rightfully so, the Justice Only fight was not exactly a great performance from Wardley. He turned it on one shot, turned it over and turned him over and won the championship. But he was getting comprehensively outboxed against a good heavyweight, a world-class sort of heavyweight, but not a massive name Justice Only isn't.
No, I agree.
And you know, so they're looking at that going into the Parker fight. But he was getting. This is the men's street mentality. They're rightfully so because that wasn't a good performance, and he didn't prove himself so much in that fight. He was, I say, lucky.
But as I told you before, Mike, it's gonna. If I can lose something, you know, Michael. You know, Usyk has got, as I told you before, you know, 38 years old, and Wardley, 30 years old. You know, that nature is nature, Michael. And I think Wardley has a great chance to win. I think I've seen this guy. He's a champion, Wardley. He's a champion. You know, this guy.
Prior to Parker, he wasn't a guy who many rated, including myself, as a world beater. He wasn't lucky in the Uni fight. He was fortunate that he managed to turn it around when he did with one punch. Great punch from behind. It was one punch. Before that, prior to that punch landed.
The hard puncher.
Absolutely. He was comprehensively being outboxed by the back boxer. Excuse me, Richard. Sorry, Richard. Can we just pause for a minute?
Yep.
So I just got to open the door.
Okay.
So. So it's okay. We're okay. Sorry. So it's okay.
Yeah.
He was comprehensively outboxed in that fight. You know, and nothing less than more. And he looked from, he wasn't just fortunate stopping him. He was fortunate to, even, call himself a WBA interim champion, because he just he showed no signs of being a world-class performer in that ring. But the fight, the win over, and his performance in beating Josie Parker, okay, you're probably a few rounds behind officially, but the thing is, he really battled in that fight, and his performance, that propelled him into and showed a lot of people, including myself, that he's a genuine world-class performer. So, yet again, this kind of man in the street said, it's not really a big enough fight for Wembley Stadium. Yes, it is. It is because of that performance. We know one thing for sure. Surely as Tuesday follows Monday and Wednesday follows Tuesday, and that is that Tony Wardley will give Alexander Usyk one heck of a fight.
Oh, well,
two things
yes.
we've got. Two things with Wardley. Two things you can't teach. Can't give a fighter a good chin, and you can't teach art. And he's got both of those in abundance. Plus, he's a big guy. He can punch. He's a lot bigger than Usyk by a few inches, and he's got, I believe, a lot of possibly reach advantage over him, etc. But obviously, Usyk's much more experienced. He's been there, seen it, wore the t-shirt, chucked it away. But Wardley on that performance, as you said, he's 8 years. That age gap. Though to me, Usyk he's a relatively fresh guy at 38. He's 39 in January.
Yeah.
And Wardley, yes, he made hard work, but he got the 2 wins. But it was that performance against Parker, as I say, that I think it's a bigger fight it's a much closer fight than I thought it was going to be. But the second fight, this fight now, I think it's a bigger fight than Ipswich Town Football Club. And that's no disrespect to them. It belongs at Wembley Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's going to be a seriously hard fight for Alexander Usyk. Yes, he is a much, much better fighter. Of course he is. We know that. But Wardley, his art is unquestionable. His chin is almost unpenetrable, so to speak, unquestionable also. And he's got the power, and he's got that fight art. And if you've got a guy with 2 good fists and an heartbeat, then you know you're in music.
Do you think it's going to be a decision fight or it's going to be a knockout fight, Michael?
I think, obviously, I've got to say Usyk will win, but it's not going to be the walk in the park that I would have thought prior to going into the park fight for Wardley.
Okay.
This isn't going to be an easier signing for Usyk than I first thought, obviously going prior to the Parker fight, because Wardley, he answered a lot of questions in that fight with Parker. Of all his victories, which were pretty much, they're probably victories.
But Michael...
Many questions were answered, but that in that space of 34 minutes or whatever, with Josie Parker, championship boxing, that showed a lot of people a lot of what he's actually about, and that is a genuine threat to Alexander Usyk or anybody who fights, because he's a guy who will get in there and he will come forward and he's unrelentless. Like Conor Benn, he's unrelentless, he can punch and he's dangerous. And anybody who can stop a guy late on, as Wardley is a genuine puncher, because he's got late rounds power, and what a lot of punchers don't have. He's a genuine puncher. He's dangerous from round 1 to round 12. He can end it at any time in the blink of an eye. So that's a hard fight. It's not going to be an easy fight for Usyk. And I think that, he will win Usyk on points, but you just never know with Wardley, do you?
You'll never know in boxing. Yeah.
No. It's like, how do you see that fight panning out? How do you see the fight?
The fight.
How do you see it? Yeah, if you look at it,
okay, yes, but I think Usyk, he's got 38 years old, as I told you before. Wardley, 30 years old, he's young, and a lot of times, in fights we've seen, youth wins over experience, Michael. A lot of times we've seen that, in a fight. So I think Wardley has a lot of chance to win his fights against Usyk, Michael, and I think I see a fight. I see Wardley. I think he can beat Usyk.
Well, that is a possibility, because I wouldn't rule it out. I really wouldn't. It's a little bit like that fairy tale, the torch in the air. The air is rushing, and then all of a sudden he has a lapse, and then the tortoise wins. And this is how this fight could well materialise. At the moment, I'm saying Usyk, but you just don't know. I mean, I'm not counting out Wardley. Just can't count him out. I don't think Usyk will stop it. I don't think that. And again, it could be close to the scorecards, and you may well be wrong. It's very, it's a hard one here, because he will be he's probably training now, Fabio Wardley. He's gearing up for this. He's a dangerous guy. And to have a guy, it's very much like a rocket still, because to have a guy, I think he had 4 fights, amateur fights. They call it white collar, but a fight's a fight. White collar, amateur, it's a fight. They seem to look at white collar boxers as like these office types, but I don't think it's so much like that. It's 2 guys in there throwing punches, trying to win. It's a fight, just like any amateur fight. So
he beat Parker, and Parker, I think, for myself, I think he's a champion. This guy, he's a champion. Well, he's very strong, and he beat Parker. For myself, I thought, Parker should have won the fight against Wardley, but Wardley won this fight. I was surprised, Michael. He was very impressive, this fighter. I think a fight with Usyk will be a super fight. And Usyk, he's got a good IQ ring, but Wardley has a good IQ ring also, and he's got a punch. He's got power, this gentleman,
Absolutely.
I don't see Usyk, he can have power also, but Wardley, what a power he has, this gentleman.
That fight, and he seems to sort of improve very quickly. He goes through, the first fight he fought Fraser Clark, and I didn't think Fraser Clark was going to be much of a threat to Wardley. Fraser Clark really did have a bit of a manufacturer's career against fairly inept opposition, easy opposition. But Fraser Clark and Wardley was a really close fight. But then they had the return, and Fraser Clark got right-handed 1 down by Wardley. And so, it shows that Wardley seems to improve. He's always improving, always, as the fights go on. And he has consistency. And a lot of fighters don't have that, but he has consistency. If you look at his performance against Justice Uni and Parker, the contrast between Justice Uni and Joseph Parker is phenomenal. It's like Uni's here, Parker's up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fighting ability.
Yeah.
But